9 data backup tips for small businesses moving to the cloud. Creating a data backup plan and implementing it takes effort, resources, money, and time. But the time and effort you put into your backup framework is far cheaper than losing important clients because you lost their data. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you're doing as marvelous as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea. Or let's roll. Today I'm going to talk to you about 9 data backup tips for small businesses moving to the cloud. Number 1, understand what your SaaS providers cover and don't cover. All right. Now, software as a service providers are very important. And most cloud providers do an excellent job of protecting your data from errors on their end, right? The thing is, they possess high levels of redundancy and backup systems to cover you in scenarios such as, natural disasters, hardware, software failures, or power failure. So it is extremely rare that you will lose data due to any of those events. Now, having said that, it's important to understand that you can have data loss when there is accidental or malicious data processes, right? Because many businesses mistakenly believe that their SaaS providers can help in those circumstances, but they're not. They're not helping. More than 90% believe that their SaaS vendors will easily restore all the lost data. No. So you want to understand what is covered in your SaaS provider agreement and what is not covered. All right. Now, the starting point here is to keep your data safe. But by understanding that your SaaS provider does protect certain things and does not protect others, right? So you can use this knowledge to put a solution in place that best fits your company and meets the needs of your organization. The second thing you need to do is you have to implement a third-party backup solution that fits your business. So it's important. You found a backup provider. It's very important. You've done your homework, right? But make sure that you also implement that third-party backup solution. All right. Now you want to make sure that your chosen solution does exactly what you need to. You also need to make sure that you choose a vendor with commitment to service, right? So the relationship starts there. The vendor understands what you're looking for and they commit to a transparent, trustworthy relationship. Number 3, understand requirements for backup solutions. When it comes to a backup solution, there are certain key requirements that you need to know. All right. And you want to make sure that you look for those things when you're talking to a vendor. Number 1, data recovery options. Right? Because you want to be able to easily restore the files you're backing up. Right? So this is very important. Now, the ideal backup solutions will allow you to restore a single document, an entire folder, or everything you've got. Another feature you want to look for is backing up to the cloud. Right? So there is no capital investment in hardware or software. You don't need to allocate some computer room space or power. You don't have to have nightmarish scenarios over a complicated installation or ongoing on-site maintenance. No, you just want to pick up a backup solution that negates all those things. So you want to back up to the cloud, right? So you're moving your data to the cloud raises the certainty that it will be available when needed. All right. Now, having a backup copy of your data in a second cloud provider means more security. So, take advantage of that. Make sure that the solution they're telling you, they're giving you, is easy to use. The last thing you want is to have to train your team members every 3 months to be able to use a service. That should be very easy, right? The solution should require minimal training to use, right? It has to be intuitive. It has to be designed intuitively. Okay. Another thing you want is automatic operation. So running backup software can be time consuming, boring, right? And people are not going to work for that. So you want to make sure that the backup is done automatically. So everything that needs to be saved, including email, documents, contract, calendar, all those things can be protected and preserved automatically. You want to make sure the solution has no storage limits, right? You don't want to worry about the size of documents you are backing up. That's the last thing you want to worry about when you're backing up important data, especially important operational data. You don't want to worry about the size. So just make sure that you discuss with the provider to agree on size restrictions, and hopefully no size restrictions. Security certifications. That's another thing that's very important to think about. So you want to rely on the word of your vendor, but it's also better to get an external security certification, because that will add more credibility and more strength to your IT system and to your operational system in general. Why? Because an external certification indicates that a neutral third party has conducted a very cautious and thorough evaluation of appropriate business and coding practices, right? So this is very important. Data privacy protection. Also, this is an important thing you might want to talk about when discussing with your vendor. Make sure the solution also allows for configurable data protection policies, so that the users, the team members who need all their data protected, for instance, some people in the HR department or people who work in the legal department, those very sensitive departments, are able to preserve and back up their data covered, protected. And discuss the backup procedures also with the vendor. All right. The last thing you want again is to have something very convoluted that is very hard to start and hard to finish. So choose a backup solution that only backs up files that have changed since the last backup event, and leave your network free to conduct business. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweaty Kiwi. We're still talking about 9 data backup tips for small businesses moving to the cloud. If you like the content's clarity and quality so far, please consider subscribing to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Also, you can comment, you can like the content, you can also share it. Number 4, create an effective plan for training and knowledge transfer. Now, an overwhelming majority of SaaS data loss is actually a result of simple human error. In other words, people manipulating the stuff, they don't know what they're doing. So it's very important to implement, any steps that can help you minimize cases of data loss in the future. So you want to train, right? You want to train your staff. You want to, you want to do regular training, not just one-off training. You want to do these things every quarter, every 6 months, depending upon the complexity of your business and the complexity of the provider's offer. So important. Number 5, establish data access policies and procedures. Right now, a cloud application allows your team to access data more conveniently than ever before. Having said that, this approach has some risks, right? So make sure you clearly define which users can have access to which files, because the last thing you want is somebody with the wrong level of access seeing and editing stuff that he or she is not supposed to edit, right? So make sure apply effectively roles and permissions through the particular kind of SaaS platform you have. All right. So, authorized users cannot access your data, so you can close down one potential avenue of data loss. Number 6, automate your backup. Now, I think I kind of talked about it a little early before, but now I'm going to go a little deeper here. When it comes to backup, you can actually do it manually or automatically, right? Now, some companies, depending upon their industry and their operational routine, like to do things manually. In other words, they have a team member and somebody in the IT department who would just take care of that. The thing is that there are problems with manual exports. They take time. They are they take time, and the thing is that they can be forgotten. The last thing you want is that a staff member who's supposed to do something to back up the data has forgotten or has called out sick, and his or her replacement hasn't done the backup or doesn't know how to do a backup. So just go with automation. Automate your backups to run without any manual intervention, right? Just set it and forget it. That's the bottom line. You want them to run in the background while you're working, while your employees are actually focusing on value generating activities. The last thing you want is that your employees spending more time on things that really are important. Don't get me wrong. Things that are critical to your business, but that do not add value. Number 7, test your company's restore. Now, testing your company's restore is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, it allows you to evaluate how long it will take to recover from data loss if it did happen, right? So this allows you to create appropriate contingency plans. And this also helps when it comes to BCP. So BCP is standing for business continuity planning. This is an important element of this. So that's number 1. Number 2, it allows you to communicate effectively the impact of human error to your people, right? So you can tell them in simple language that accidental deletion of a crucial folder could take 1 month of time to recover. So by quantifying the loss, by quantifying the risks, people are more likely to respond to you in kind, to respond to the kind of emergency you want them to think about. And that's what you should be saying. I'll be right back right after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm still here talking to you about 9 data backup tips for small businesses moving to the cloud. Tip number 8: understand essential restore requirements. Now, one thing you want to understand here is that when it comes to restore capabilities, there are essentially 5 of them. 5 that you need to pay attention to. Number 1, make sure that the restore process is simple and straightforward, right? Because data loss can happen in an instant for any number of reasons, right? People hit delete, somebody accidentally hits delete, a hacker destroys a set of records, or a data synchronization process goes awry. A lot of those things can happen, right? But you want to look for a solution that is specifically designed to simplify the process, right? So there's no time and effort wasted learning how to navigate through a new and unfamiliar landscape. Additionally, if you have a simple process, your team members assigned to that particular job will only need to go through a few steps, right? So they don't have to contact the help desk or the admin. Another thing that's very important is that accurate restore of point-in-time data directly back into the application. This is an important feature. Accurate restore of point-in-time data directly back into the application. In other words, you want a backup solution that recovers data right at the point in time and puts it back into your operational processes, back into your data, into your data machines, back into your data analytics. Another thing you want to think about is the fastest RTOs, right? The recovery time objectives. So rapid restore times to meet the fastest RTOs. To avoid downtime after a data loss, you want to achieve the fastest recovery time objectives possible, right? So this will require a backup solution that restores processes that are both simple, right, and easy. Simple, why? Simple because they involve a minimal number of steps. And easy because anyone can perform those steps with no special training. Another essential restore requirement is extensive security technologies and backup best practices, right? So besides being fast and accurate, an effective data restore solution must also be secure, right? Because you want measures that are in place to ensure that users only see and restore the data they were authorized to edit. Okay, so you want to look for a solution that encrypts data, that has a widely recognized security certification, right? I'm talking about Trustee Certified Privacy Seal, right? That provides detailed audit logs of changes in security settings, and comes from an application provider that has completed an SSA AE16 Type 2 security audits, right? This is the kind of audits that attest to meeting security standards in various areas. You also want to look for alignment with compliance requirements. Depending upon your industry, you want to make sure that the number of regulatory and compliance mandates are being abided by, right? I'll give you an example. You have the widely used COBIT framework of standards for compliance, right? They include testing of restoration capabilities as measured by the percentage of successful restorations. So the ninth backup tip that you want to pay attention to is to involve your application admins in your backup procedures, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that you want your traditional IT systems and people to be involved here. So you want to establish a file organization standard, right? Organization is very key in this process. You develop a standard way of sorting your files so that you and your users will always know where files belong. You want to determine which files need to be preserved. You need to create a local backup system. You need to create an offsite backup system. And you want to automate the procedures that I've already talked about. That it's very important to understand that IT and application owners must collaborate and understand who will ultimately be responsible for the SAAS data backup. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are about to wrap up today's show, and I really appreciate having you around. Thank you so much. And here are the 9 data backup tips for small businesses moving to the cloud. Number 1, understand what your SaaS provider cover and doesn't cover, right? So understand what your SaaS providers cover and don't cover, rather. Implement a third-party backup solution that fits your business. Understand requirements for a backup solution. Create an effective plan for training and knowledge transfer. Establish data access policies and procedures. Automate your backup. Test your company's restore. Understand essential restore requirements. Involve your application admins in your backup procedures. So this is it, folks. I just want to give you a quick tip here. This is today's pro tip: compliance. Compliance is very important. Now, you probably know and understand the compliance standards that apply to your industry, right? So what you're looking for is to find a way to find a vendor, to find a backup solution provider that will help you get there. So I'm talking about if you are in an industry such as banking, where there are ever-changing standards, for instance, you want to make sure that your backup solution provider allows you to not only comply with laws as they are today, but help you get ready for future compliance if there are new pieces of legislation, right? You moving your applications and data to the cloud is an exciting opportunity, but you have to remember that your data, while it may have moved offsite, remains your responsibility, right? So you need to preserve it and protect it as fiercely as it was when it lived in your server room. All right, I'll talk to you another time. Have a great time and stay marvelous.